What is going on, everybody? It's White here. We're about to jump into the video, but before we do that, I just wanted to let you know that at the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit more about the context of what was going on in this Da Vinci robot demo and kind of how it gets used in practice, like in surgery, what they do to actually use this to perform the surgeries, some of the do's and don'ts. Not that I'm an expert on it, but just some of the things I learned today talking to the sales reps and what I've seen shadowing. But anyway, let's jump into the video and I'll see you guys afterwards.
Is there like a surgery you would say besides the prostate that you would say makes a really big difference where it's like
How do you move the camera?
a lot of them?
Is that what the... It's like saying... Oh, actually, no, I didn't try
Maybe
to say
that's
this.
what the pedals
The
are.
first time that it's...
Yeah, I didn't really mess with those.
I didn't mess with the pedals either, but I think I just saw
I've been doing this for 20 years, and it sounds a lot for 20 years. And I saw... I was just picking up rings. So I don't know if it's supposed to do here.
Hey, I did that too.
So you can see better. Yeah, for this. So it's like, I was thinking like, testing in a light bulb. You could do it without this. You could probably do it.
Do you find that it's challenging to say, when did your last like that release? And
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nice. What's up, guys?
If it's challenging to sell a hospital on this after they've just made an investment like into the previous version.
What's cool is like surgeons will do their
Do you feel like that's allowed? Do you guys kind of work with the hospital or is it more like surgeons who say do activity or want it and then they go and talk to their actual?
And I know trauma surgeons who, a lady down in Austin, she had a patient who was stabbed in the back, and instead of opening the patient, because they were stable, they were able to talk to her about patient went home, come on. Before she was on that robot, she would have just opened the patient. That's not true.
Is that common? Trauma surgeons use the robot?
No. Can I ask? Okay, that's pretty good.
What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to provide a little context to that video. Sorry, the video is going to be a little shaky. I'm swinging the little baby Sutton while I am talking. But that video, so what happened was a group of us med students had brought some students on campus, some high school students, to do a surgical skills, educational activity, just kind of expose them to medicine and surgery and healthcare. Well, ours specifically was for medical school, but nevertheless, I digress to say, while we're in the surgical skills center, apparently, as it turned out, the intuitive team who is responsible for building, designing / patenting the Da Vinci surgical robot system, they just came out with their latest model, the 5th generation Da Vinci model. They had it there today for everybody to try out. Now, it was in the Surgical Skills Center where surgical residents go to practice their laparoscopy skills and suture skills and things of the sort. Whoops. Whoops. Well, she got a little fussy, so I went and put her down. Anywho, so long story short, Intuitive, the Da Vinci robot makers and sellers, then come to the hospital with the intention of primarily showing the surgical residents and really the surgeons to show them, like, oh, look at our latest and greatest robot. Us medical students, there were probably about, 5 or 10 of us who were showing around the high school students, and we saw that, so we said, so we showed the robot to the high school students because we're in the same room, obviously. Or we obviously showed them the Da Vinci robot because we're in the same room. Well, then they had to go about 12, and it was like already 11:30, and so like we didn't have time to get all the students to like go into the console and play with the robot, do the simulation. So, or I shouldn't say simulation; it's the real deal. To get to use the robot. So then we sent the students off, gave them a little presentation, a thank you. We hope you consider medicine someday. And then we went back, and that because surgical residents and surgeons are extremely busy. I mean, in the middle of the day, they're probably not just going to go take a stroll by the new, latest, and greatest brand new robot. It is like the older surgeons who have not very much, but slightly more time on their hands than the rest of the young surgeons and the surgical residents. So us medical students who saw that were like, oh, let's give it a try. And the Da Vinci robot people, they were like, I mean, yeah, we don't care. The more people that use it, the better. The primary difference with this robot that is new, that is not on any of the past robots, is it provides a tactile experience. So like with the robot, if it senses that you like hit something or there's something in the way, in the console, like where your hands are, it will also provide a resistance so that it feels sort of like you're in the surgery, like you would if you were doing an actual surgery, right? If you cut something or hit something, you feel it. I mean, obviously, but that's a less obvious thing when you're working with a robot. So that's with the new robot. They do offer that experience. In summary, it was so awesome. It honestly felt a little bit like magic. I've seen in surgery, one time they did a gastrectomy where they removed part of the stomach from somebody who was looking to get some bariatric, or somebody who was receiving bariatric surgery. So they were removing part of the stomach to so that the stomach held less, and therefore they would get fuller faster and help them lose weight. They were using the robot, and basically the process for using robotic surgery is they put you under general anesthesia. They go in, they put holes in your belly or ports. They put it in, then they fill your abdomen with CO2 or just some gas that is not reactive or harmful in any way, and they fill it in there to kind of like make a balloon with your stomach, so that way they have like a space to work inside of and they can actually see and light it up in there. So they go in there, then they've got the ports and they've what is called insufflated the belly or filled it with gas. Then they attach the ports and all the arms in the belly. Then they roll over the big robot that's got all the motors and things and all the motors on it. And at that point, that's when they attach all of the arms to the actual robotic machine. And they're like, I'll leave it there. And at that point, then you go into the console and the rest is kind of done. Or at that point, then you just go finish the surgery from the console. The consoles themselves, they do have microphones in them. So if you've got, 2 or 3 surgeons working on a case robotically, which I don't think there's ever been 3, but I digress all to say, you're able to go in and there are microphones, and you can hear through the console, where you put your eyes at, and you're able to talk to the other surgeon who's operating with you. Normally, in those instances, it's normally or I should say, what I have seen is it's the case that you have the attending surgeon and the surgical resident who are operating together, and they sit there and talk to each other. Here's how we do this, and here's how we do that. Some really cool applications for this is you can take surgeons who are thousands of miles away, and they are just experts in this one surgery, and they know exactly how to do it in all variety of cases. They can telephone in to see what you're working on, as let's say you're a surgeon operating on something that is you can do it, but you're not an expert in it. You're like, okay, well, what do I do in this situation? You just call up the surgeon expert on whatever it is you need, and they can walk you through, pointing out real time, okay, this is where you'd hook a suture there or ligate an artery there, whatever. It doesn't matter. You get the point of that. Another thing is it's getting to the. This is not, again. This is a research and development side, but it's getting to the point where you you do the full thing. You get up to the stage about where you're about to go sit in the console and begin working on the surgery through the robot. It's getting to the point for some of these standard surgeries where they've done so many of them that the robot is able to predict, based on what it's seeing, the next steps in the surgery. And so there's this thought, although from a liability perspective, I don't know how realistic this is. They will go in, and it's basically the robot says, here, I would like to do this maneuver. Do you agree to it? And you go, check, yes. And so then it'll go in and it'll let's say, remove some of the fascia between the gallbladder and the liver to take out a necrotic gallbladder or something like that. For right now, that sounds scary, and you're like, oh, that sounds like a bad idea. However, a surgical robot has much more precision, and being able to do it systematically is actually very significant. It reduces the tolerance, or the ability to do too much or not enough, in surgery. Sutton lost her pacifier again, so I went to put that in her mouth. So back to the main point of a robot being able to perform these maneuvers is much more precise, which ultimately does result in better outcomes. Now, of course, you always run the possibility of what if something goes wrong. That is forever and always a possibility in surgery, but I think it is going to be a net benefit. Sure, something might happen with the robot. I don't think it will be at all or I should say, I think it will be very rare for a robot to just completely malfunction and go berserk and start like hurting somebody. I think worst case scenario is like, right, the robot won't turn on or a motor goes out, something to that effect. But I think it will be a net, should I say, lifesaver by implementing some system where the robot knows the immediate next step, not like the full surge, just the immediate next step. And it'll say, Doc, hey, Doc, do you want me to perform this maneuver? And the doctor will say, I've seen the robot do before. It knows what it's doing. I like the maneuver it's about to perform. Check mark. And so then the robot itself will know, okay, I can perform the most optimal and the safest path with my arm to go in, cut here, open here, whatever it's doing, based on some thousands and thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of trainings on past videos, and then like telling the robot, right, like these ones are the good ones that were successful, these ones were the bad ones that had bad outcomes. So learn based on that, like try to look like the good ones and try not to look like the bad ones. That's a very the whole concept of having robotic surgery is pretty controversial, but I think it's going to be a big lifesaver. Anyway, I wanted to share that video with you guys. I thought it was so awesome. Yeah,